Just before we get into this week's podcast, I just want to say thank you to our sponsor. And our sponsor this month is Zebra Pen. Zebra is a returning sponsor this month. And at Zebra, they're serious about making the best pens possible, which means that their lab team is always testing, innovating, and perfecting ink formulas. They like to help people learn more about the characteristics of pens, ink types, and terminology, so the pen you choose delivers the best performance for your needs. And they sent us a giant box full of swag to give away at our drawing events, as well as our daily drawing challenge for this month will be a Inebri-art pen product prize package. Oh, that's a lot of P's in there. So thank you to Inebri-art pens. You can go to zebrapens.com and check out their products, and make sure you check out our Facebook page for the Daily Drawing Challenge for that giveaway. And if you're in Plymouth or the San Angelo, Texas area, you can go to our drawing events, and we'll be giving away some products as door prizes there as well. So thanks again to Zebra, and thanks, guys, for listening. All right, welcome back, Inebri-ites. This is Andy of the Inebri-art podcast. Did I bury the needle again? I do it just to bother fish. But so we are back here again at the Mayflower Brewery in Plymouth, where our good friends Sticks and Pumpkin are taking care of us, letting us record here. And not too long ago, I was accused of having Inebri-art to hang out and drink with my friends. But I feel like the most of it is that I hang out and drink and meet new friends, because our next guest I met at a distillery where he works, and through conversation turns out he is also a musician, a top secret musician. So welcome to the show, Joey Eggs.
Thank you for having me.
So you keep saying that no one knows you play. So is this, like, obviously not anymore, but like, was this intentionally down low? Like,
no, it's more just I've always kept it for fun. I mean, I'm not going to say nobody knows. I have recorded and released a few songs, but like, they're just out there on the internet on Bandcamp, so it's not like people are necessarily knowing to check for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just do it more for fun.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the expression. So
nice. So, I mean, how long have you been playing? Has it been something you've done your whole life, or is it something you've recently picked up?
Music started for me probably, I mean, it was definitely in high school. I want to say sophomore year. I for the first time learned maybe G chord.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of intermittent throughout high school and college. But it started for me probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That I was writing my own songs.
So most musicians that we interview end up, I don't want to say end up because that sounds final, but are currently doing the bar thing and the cover songs. You seem to be more interested in writing your own stuff. Is playing out something that you're not even really thinking about, or?
At this point, I'm starting to look into what it would really take. I mean, right now, I don't really enjoy learning other people's songs.
Yeah.
I understand the value of having some cover songs up your sleeve so that you can, play those bar gigs.
Right.
And, obviously that's how you get noticed by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you want people to know what you're doing, you have to do it. But I just prefer writing songs.
Yeah.
It's more fun to me to do that than to learn somebody else's song.
I feel that's like one of the things that's really missing from Plymouth is like a really good spot to showcase original stuff. And understandably, the bars, people don't go to the bars to listen to music. Right. They go to hang out with their friends and hear music. So do you think you'd be more apt if there was like like a bar or like a...
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if there was some kind of like a you know,
I don't want to say open mic because there's lots of open mics.
Right, plenty of open mics, and that's a great opportunity too. But I think that if there are more, more double bills, I mean, one thing that's really cool is that Bramhall's Country Store in Chiltonville does that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have been part of that before. My friend Abby Vale, who's also a local musician.
That name sounds super familiar.
Yeah, she's very talented. She's played the Music Circus, the Melody Tent.
Oh, nice.
And she's very good. But I did a show with her at Bramhall's.
Yeah.
And it's like, I live right there, and Bramhall's are good friends of mine, so it was easy for me to just kind of slide into that one.
Yeah, and that place has like a really cool vibe.
But yeah, exactly. It's really cool. It's, this, I want to say it was built in the late 17, early 1800s or so.
Yeah.
And
Ben's so difficult to work with. Every time I see him, he's like, let's do something. I'm like, what? He's like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. He always wants to do something, though, which is awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's great. Yeah.
It also opens it up for the opportunity for you to kind of create your own thing to do with his space, because, I mean, it's just there. It's available.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of potential there in, having shows there or whatever, showcasing original artists who don't want to play covers.
Right.
And if there are more of those, I think it'd benefit a lot of younger, up-and-coming songwriters, for sure.
Yeah, and it's got that nice kind of coffee house feel almost.
Yeah.
But with, lobster rolls.
Yeah. Right, and ice cream.
Yeah. Bramhall's Country Store, not a sponsor. So you started playing music in high school. Like, was it just kind of... I feel like a lot of guys pick up guitar in high school
for the girls.
Get chicks, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Was that kind of like your inspiration? Were you really into the music? I feel like your stuff tends to run like your stuff tends to have like a more Simon Garfunkel type feel.
Okay.
Very almost like poetic lyrics, and it's not your rock fight song,
right?
Right. So, like, what made you pick up the guitar? Like, why did you go guitar?
Well, like I said, there's kind of two different parts of me as far as what led me to be playing guitar now. There is the style that I play now that was influenced by a completely different set of, artists versus who I was in high school, which was a jock. And
oh, really? You're one of the jocks that picked up guitar?
Yeah.
I remember those in high school.
Yeah, and I probably looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
But I think the first song I learned was I forget what it was called, but I think it was a Green Day song.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would never even bother right now.
Right.
Trying to learn a Green Day song.
You don't like Green Day now?
It's just not my style.
Right, right.
It's not what I'm influenced by.
Yeah.
It was just like one of those pop songs that, like, when I was in high school, a lot of people liked it.
Right.
A lot of girls liked it.
Yeah. And I also feel like when you're starting off, you have to start with something that you're really familiar with, so you know what it sounds like.
Right.
You're not going to start with Bach, where you're like, I'm not really familiar with Bach.
Bach's birthday is today, by the way.
Is it?
Happy birthday, Bach!
Totally knew that.
Yeah. Well, it was Google's banner.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Kind of funny you said it, but yeah.
Oh, that's really weird.
Yeah.
I know it was Einstein's birthday. Probably a week ago. Yeah. So you picked up guitar. You started playing. Did you immediately be like, I should put a band together? Or were you just kind of? Has it always been something you kind of did mostly for yourself?
It's always been for myself, for the most part. I mean, there was the very beginning when I just wanted to learn how to strum a couple songs. Mm-hmm. But then it turned into, like, once you can put together a couple chords on your own, you kind of feel a little more empowered with it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until college that I started to get more passionate about it, and it was when I was kind of introduced to Mark Bryant, of C-Sound, formerly C-Sound Recording Studios, and he was so he dated my mom. he moved into my house and he introduced me to the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
And, it just kind of revolutionized the way I thought about music.
Yeah.
Before it was OAR, Dispatch, State Radio.
Yeah.
Just like going to shows, It wasn't about the craft. And so I started to learn through the Beatles and through Mark, some things that you should know and understand and appreciate about songwriting. And I still wasn't writing songs then.
Yeah.
That's just when it started.
Right.
And that's when I was like, I'm going to start eventually.
Those are like the seeds of it.
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, I feel like Beatles is one of those bands that everyone's like, oh yeah, the Beatles, but like when you really sit and listen, you're like, shit, I forgot how like really good they are.
Right.
And we also have that, we're looking back where there's been multiple things to come later that sound like the Beatles, but at the time, they were unique.
Yeah.
Were there other bands around the same time that started to influence you in the same way?
Other bands, like when I got into the Beatles,
when you started to...
the Beatles kind of opened the floodgates to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Most of which I'm not actually influenced by anymore. But I don't dislike them. It's just... Actually, I really wouldn't even say that I'm influenced in my songwriting by the Beatles anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was when I was being introduced to the Beatles. And through Mark introducing me to the Beatles, I also had this neighbor who is from England, and he introduced me to a lot of other things about the Beatles that I wasn't really picking up from Mark, but he also had a lot of music on his external hard drive.
Yeah.
So that's when I got into Andrew Bird and Elvis Perkins and Deerland and like all of those Newport Folk Festival bands.
Yeah.
The folk artists. As well as like a number of Bonnaroo artists that all kind of gave me all these different avenues of inspiration. But, I think the ones that really stuck out of that are, the Elvis Perkins and Andrew Bird and Gregory Alan Isakov kinds.
And so when you sat down to write your first song, was it something that like you kind of like had an idea about? Did you bang it out right away? Was it like a real tortured long process?
It actually came in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe less. Probably less. At least most of it, not the whole thing. But yeah, the idea and most of the lyrics and the progression came very quickly. I asked Jake Hill if I could borrow his guitar for a little bit just so I could mess around with it.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have my own at the time. And this was 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was actually just after my mom had passed away. And the song is about her.
Yeah.
Or at least, the idea of her. And I think it was just a really emotional time. Mm-hmm. And I had no way of really letting it out. I had just ended a relationship.
Oh, geez.
A lot was kind of thrown at me at once. And so
yeah.
I wasn't really properly, letting everything out. I was just kind of bottling up all of this, some negative, some grieving energy that really just needed to come out. And it just came out in that song.
Yeah.
And... it didn't come out negatively. It didn't come. It came out as more positive kind of grieving.
Yeah.
But that was my first song.
Wow. Okay, so I'm not going to ask the next question. I was going to be like, "Oh, do you ever look back at it and be like, what a piece of shit?" So I'm not going to ask that. But when you write songs, do you ever look back? Not that one, but I mean other songs. Do you ever look back and like, ugh, what was I thinking? Or
definitely.
Yeah.
And some of them, of course, are ones that I've written sober. Mm-hmm. And, I'll write them down or, like, type them into my notes on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'll look back at them and I'll be like, why? What was I thinking? Like, I mean, this is just, practice, though.
Yeah.
You have to write.
Right.
And, that's something that any writer I've known has told me is that it might be shit, but you need to keep doing it. You have to work the muscle.
Right.
And So yeah, of course I have those ones. The funny ones are the ones that I record on my phone to my voice memos at night when I'm drunk.
Those must be amazing.
Yeah, there's some funny ones,
Yeah.
and some really terrible ones. And I just think, well, I was drunk.
Yeah. That's my excuse.
But some of them are actually kind of funny, and like there's one that I just found in my voice memos yesterday that I wrote in the beginning of January.
Yeah.
So 2 months later, I'm finding a voice memo that I guess I'll call the song "What Kind of Name Is Karen?"
Okay.
And I have no idea, but I mean, I thought it was funny, and I liked the way the piano sounded and everything, and the way that I sang it, even though it sounded bad because I was drunk. But
yeah,
I look back on a lot of them, and I think, wow, that's shit.
It's funny. Like, I think of a lot of bands, and you don't see a lot of bands that will kind of do that, serious, heartfelt, and then throw in a funny song. Like, you tend to see bands that have a funny song are like Weird Al, where they're all funny.
Right.
But, it's like, you can throw in a funny song here and there. There's an Irish band called Gaelic Storm, and one of their songs is called... I think it's just called Russell Crowe, and it's about the time that Russell Crowe came into the bar, and the lead singer told him, like, he started smoking at the bar, and the lead singer's like, you need to put that out, and he ended up punching Russell Crowe. And so the whole song is about that, and it's just stupid fun, but, it's lighthearted, and, they don't all have to be melancholy or ballads. And
right.
Do you ever feel like you're going to work What Kind of Name Is Carol out to be a finished song?
I definitely think I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's a piano song, so I mean I'm writing another set of songs that are all on the piano.
Yeah.
And that one's definitely something I'm interested in working with. I like the progression too much, and I think there's something to be said about the lady who helped you home from the bar when you were hammered, and you give her shit in return, and I think
Teased her about
it's
her
kind
name.
of a funny, it's kind of a funny song, but I don't know, it might not be completely funny.
Yeah.
I think that funny songs have their place, and I don't think that they're necessarily straightforward funny all the time either.
Right.
It's not all Adam Sandler, Weird Al kind
right.
of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the dry humor to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a song called Down Below, and it's down below the bottom of the label, which is about, drinking your wine, and you're all the way down below the bottom of the label. And that one's kind of funny, but it's not straightforward.
Right.
Like,
and it's not like hysterical, laugh out loud funny.
Right.
It's just kind of humorous.
Yeah.
Nice. So when you're writing a song, like, what's your process? Like, do you start with lyrics? Do you start with a chord progression?
I mean, I still ask other artists that all the time because it's a mystery. I don't think that any artist would say that they know. But I mean, it helps to have a good chord progression or a lick or something.
Mm-hmm.
I find most success when I have that first.
Yeah.
The lyrics come a little quicker. But I mean, sometimes I'll just wake up with a tune in my head, and hope that I remember it by the time I get home from the office at 5.
Oh, have you? I mean, you must have had that experience where you've had something in your head, and then
I've lost a bunch.
And then someone's like, "Hey, can you email so and so?" You're like, "Yeah." Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
Do you try to make, like, when you get those? Do you try to, like you said, you make a lot of recordings in your voice notes? Do you try to, like, jot down progressions on a scrap of paper or a napkin or something when you can?
I mean, I don't always have the notes in my head.
Yeah.
It's more about the melody of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have the spare second, I'll actually take my voice memos out and just hum it.
Yeah.
But I don't always think to do that.
Yeah. Do you ever get weird
sometimes
looks? Walking around the grocery store humming into your phone?
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm very, very private about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't don't want anybody to steal my shit.
Oh yeah,
Just kidding. No, I just
you want that Jake Hill guy running the bank on your song.
Oh, I know. Yep. Next thing I know, it's on his next record.
So you said you've been writing songs as recently as like this week, and not a lot of people know about it. Are you looking to put together an album? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah. So I told you. I think I told you. It might not have been on the podcast. It might have been before we started. But I do have 4 songs recorded.
Yeah.
That I recorded at C Sound with Mark Bryant, and I had Kit Carlisle, Jake's guitarist, come in and do drum tracks, electric guitar, and whatever else was needed.
Yeah.
And so I have 4 songs recorded that I did about 2 years ago or so, and those are up on Bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
But I do have plans to maybe even re-record some of those.
Yeah.
As well as all of my new ones. Or at least pick and choose a top 6 or so.
Yeah.
And I plan to record, hopefully with Sean McLaughlin of 37 Foot.
37 Foot? I don't even know them.
Yeah.
That's a band I haven't heard.
Oh, no, he's a producer.
Oh,
37
okay.
Foot Productions.
Oh, okay, all
Yep.
right. I was thinking of
I want to say he's in... he's closer to Boston.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Braintree, but somewhere up there, closer to there.
Now, you've talked about Jake and Kit, and do you feel that being in Plymouth is helping your songwriting just because of the sheer number of musicians and creative types of people down here? That
Definitely. I didn't really start to play until I moved home from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I had played intermittently for a while, but I moved home from Boston in around 2015, early summer, and that's when I started to remember everything in Plymouth about the music scene and how many of my own friends were part of it.
Yeah.
And so it definitely pushed me along. Because I have friends who are writing songs, and you kind of want to share that with them,
right?
And so I wanted to contribute to it, and it definitely helps to have them kind of give you notes, give you advice, or even just to enjoy them.
Yeah. Do you feel it's intimidating to like ask them for notes? To be like are you fairly confident? Be like, I'm okay with you listening to this, or is like, oh no, please don't,
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I have a friend of mine, Adam Miller, that every once in a while I'll send him a finished piece that I do to get notes. And I do it with him specifically because he is brutally honest to the point where you're like, okay, man, you can stop now. But he's always like fair and honest and really trying to help, not just to be like, you suck. So do you, like, where in that scale are you looking for from?
I mean, I don't necessarily even get too many notes. I try to write most of my songs completely by myself, and I'll share them when I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I stick to them. Occasionally there may be like, I don't know, if I'm playing in the kitchen and I just wrote that song, and Jake's there in the kitchen with me, I get most of it from Jake, just like kind of, he's been writing songs in the industry for
forever.
I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah.
Since he was in high school. So I mean, I like getting advice from him. It's helpful, and he has some, really big songs that I admire. So I like getting a little, input from him now and then. But I know that we also write very differently.
Yeah.
And sometimes he says something that makes sense, but it doesn't feel like it's me.
Oh yeah.
And so
yeah.
I'll I take it as much as I want to.
Yeah. So kind of like it's not bad advice, just not necessarily like the heart of the song.
It's advice that's worth considering.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will take it, and sometimes I won't.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I don't really ask people for notes, and I know that most people don't like to give them.
I feel like people have a really hard time giving
true and honest notes because they're worried about hurting your feelings.
Right.
So, like, a lot of times they're like, oh, no, it's great. It's awesome. It's perfect. Don't ever change it.
Right.
And that's not always helpful.
Yeah. I think anytime you say something it's worth saying,
Yeah.
it might piss somebody off for a minute,
Yeah.
but then it's like, oh, well, that's just what they heard. Maybe they thought I might benefit from it.
Right.
If somebody is doing something, I have a few other friends that are like, not gigging either, and they're just writing their own songs. And if they play me a song and they're like, what'd you think? Like, I might tell them, like, I'll definitely tell them something.
Yeah.
And it's more like, I don't suggest you do this, but I kind of heard this here.
Yeah.
I thought it would be really cool. And I think that's the kind of the most realistic way.
It is. It's hard to kind of, because I never really thought about it, but like with the song, you could be basically changing the tone or the intent behind the song.
Right. You could completely change the intent.
Like they're like, oh, right here would be a good part for a rap section. You'd be like, I don't know if that's true.
Oh man, that's a good idea though. I should probably get some rap sections on.
There you go.
songs,
If there's some folk rap, is there such a thing?
Yeah. I'll probably find.
I feel like that's a new genre that. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Folk
it's kind of out there. Flight of the Conchords do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of them, but
Yeah.
that's true. Do you tend to like that kind of like fusion type stuff when they kind of mix genres? You just made me think of a band, Gangsta Grass, and it's a bluegrass.
Gangsta Grass, yeah, I've heard them.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely different. And the one that I've been seeing pop up a lot is like hip hop and brass.
Yeah,
and
I would say that's pretty big.
That's pretty. And it's not. I'm always like, all right, which one of you kids are, or kids? Which one of you guys are like from band nerds? Like,
right.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I like hearing a new blend,
Yeah.
a new fusion, because it inspires something. Whatever little piece of it that you take out of it, you can use to kind of guide your own. Even if it's not one of those two genres that's blended, you might hear something in there,
yeah,
and like it, and be like, I kind of like the way that would sound with mine.
right.
And I think that it's
So you're encouraging people to steal stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
More so the vibe or the idea.
Yeah.
That I could do something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm encouraging everybody to steal songs.
I feel like every artist has stolen some influence or like some, technique or,
Yeah.
we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just kind of putting rims on it.
Right. Right. 90% of the songs out there are 1-4-5 chord progressions.
Right, yeah.
Most of them are GCD.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
I have a couple buddies have a band, Second Chance, and they're just the cover bar band, and they'll do like medleys of songs, and the guitar player just plays the same progression through the whole thing, and it's almost like, what song can we add in this time? And they just keep adding more songs into it.
yeah.
So why did you end up in kind of like the area of folk? Like, what is it about folk music that kind of appealed to you?
I think it's like, I don't know. I've played in bands, and we didn't play folk style, but it's cool to be part of a band. But I felt way more involved, obviously, because I'm the only one involved.
Yeah.
By writing my own songs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had influencers like, obviously Jake Hill,
Yeah.
Haley Sabella, Jim Betts, and like people that I admire that their words,
Yeah.
more than necessarily the song, as a whole.
I feel like folk is very much musical. Like, all music's musical poetry, but I feel like folk is like definitely more.
Yeah,
Like, you could read it written down, and it would not necessarily be just as impactful, but
yeah,
be impactful just by the words.
right, exactly. And I think that's the important part to me.
Yeah.
Is that I feel like I articulated something in a way that people haven't yet.
Right.
And they tend to be things that, or things that everybody thinks at one point or another, or witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just putting it out there for them to relate to, which is, what songwriting is for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it was folk for me because the people closest to me, when I started to write songs a couple years ago, were like kind of my support system in a hard time, and so I just kind of fell into it, and it made the most sense at the time, and it's brought me the most joy so far.
Now, do you take a lot of? I mean, you're talking about how the first song that you wrote was, because you're in a dark place. Do you feel most of your songs come from, either struggles in life or your life experiences?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, not every song is going to be 100% true.
Right.
But, there's
Was
a
her
little
name
thing.
not really Karen?
Yeah. Just change the name. I mean, it's, well, definitely. I do change names around.
Yeah.
But, it's also like, I pull little things. I might mix and match. A song I write about a girl might be about 10 different girls.
Yeah.
That I've known. Or maybe parts of it are just not even about someone I knew.
They're just fabricated because it makes sense for the song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for the story. It makes my boring story more interesting.
Yeah.
There might have been one little interesting part about that story, but the rest was crap.
Right.
So if I write a song, I'm going to ham that thing up.
Yeah. Were you always like into creative writing in general? Like, no, that just kind of came along with the music.
Yeah, it came along with it. I wasn't very good at it at first.
Yeah,
I took a creative writing course in college, but I don't think that it really changed anything for me. I don't think it made me any better.
Yeah.
And I didn't really. I can't remember a single thing from that class. So let's just say
stay in school, kids.
But yeah, it's just been practice and kind of paying attention to the way other people say things.
Yeah.
If I like the way that somebody said something, I will remember it and kind of translate it into something else, and that's helped with the songwriting.
Now I'm going to ask you the most difficult question that any creative person gets. You mentioned writing sober and writing drunk. Which is better?
Definitely sober.
Yeah.
It's 100% sober. Writing drunk is a fun way to try to start new songs.
Yeah.
But it's no way to finish them. It's no way to put your stamp.
So you might pick up something. You may drunkenly stumble across like a little nugget, but you have to like really polish it up.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing for me is that I'm a chronic overthinker.
Yeah.
I'll beat myself into the ground over nothing. And I also, it's not all just like beating myself up either. It's like I overthink, what words belong where, or does this chord flow into the next one nicely enough?
Yeah.
And I overthink it so much that it almost cripples me, and I just have to put the guitar down.
Mm-hmm.
But, I find that if I, have a couple beers, it turns off a couple things in my brain and lets me just kind of flow something out. It's a nice way to start a song.
Yeah.
But, you can do that sober too.
Right.
And you can finish a song sober.
Yeah.
And you can finish it and care about it sober.
So stay in school, kids, and sober up.
Yep. Don't drink.
What are you drinking over there?
This is apple juice.
No, it's not.
Nope. This is a Ships in Salsa, new agave lager by Mayflower Brewing Company.
I haven't had that yet. That's like new, isn't it?
This is new.
That's our little plug for Mayflower. I still have yet to try. Was it Love and Wrestling?
Oh yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah. So you also work at a distillery.
I do.
Is there? I mean, I think you do sales there, correct? Am I?
I used to.
Yeah.
I've kind of taken myself off of the distillery responsibilities.
Yeah.
I really just run the tap room on Sundays.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of cover a shift here and there, kind of thing. Or just Sundays?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only there on Sundays. And most often I'm texting Angela. Being like, hey, want to work? Want to take my shift?
Yeah.
And she's always down to, because she's awesome. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a very part-time thing.
Yeah. What do you do for a day job?
So I work in operations for Igloo Coolers.
Oh. Is that over by Quarters Park?
Yep. We have a satellite office. The company's based out of Katy, Texas, but we have a satellite office up here.
Yeah.
Which is actually a completely separate company that Igloo bought. So
Yeah.
I work for Cool Gear International, and we make water bottles.
Right. Do you know John... God, don't make me pronounce his last name. It's like...
Oh, John Y?
No, but John Y, yeah.
Yeah.
I
know him, yep.
Yeah, he's been on the
he's in
podcast.
marketing.
Yeah. He's a friend of mine.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
I usually, when I'm talking about him, I call him John Yucatan Peninsula because it's something like that.
I'm going to call him that tomorrow.
Yeah, please do. I don't know if he knows I call him that, but it'll be great.
Yeah.
But do you feel that creativity is part of your day job at all? Or is it just this? It's just
my
your music?
day job is emailing China and making sure that plastic water bottles make it from China to Walmart.
Oh, that sounds torturous.
Yeah. So
like,
no.
through the course of your day, is it like I can't wait to get out of here so I can music must be like a release, a relax.
It is. It feels way better to go home. However, I do have to pay the mortgage.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm not going to do that.
Everybody's got bills
with my songs that I don't share with anybody.
Right.
Unless I get some, angel donor of, a regular stream of income.
It's like I hear.
I've been waiting for it.
I hear about back in the day where artists had patrons that would be like, "I'm just going to pay you and you go do your thing," and be like, "Why doesn't that exist anymore?"
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm gonna bring it back.
All right. You find.
I just need to
you find the billionaires
somebody.
and I'll line up the artists.
Yeah.
Visual and music. Everybody.
Right. Can't be too greedy.
Right. So you mentioned you're on Bandcamp.
Yes.
And I have, when I met you and always known you as Joey Eggs, is that how people find you on Bandcamp?
That is how you find me on Bandcamp.
Because that's not really your name.
No. Correct. No, my name is not Joey Eggs.
But that's how they can find you.
In real life.
Yeah.
But yes, you can find my 4 songs at joeyeggs.bandcamp.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Joey_eggs with a Z.
And you have Facebook. I think that's where I've seen videos of your music.
That is where you would have seen them.
Yeah.
I am actually off Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I still have access to Messenger.
Yeah. But you're just kind of on...
Are
you like off or just like on hiatus?
I deactivated for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll see if I ever come back. Maybe not.
It's not. I saw someone saying that Facebook should be regulated like a utility, and I'm like, no, it shouldn't. You should never consider Facebook a utility. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I just prefer Instagram.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm on Instagram. But also, Bandcamp is where you'll find the actual recordings.
Nice.
Instagram, you'll just see different stories. Sometimes when I'm drunk, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Just kind of messing around on the piano, doing something new. You might stumble upon that occasionally.
I feel like most time I see you is either at breweries or a bar.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although, to my credit, that is where we would run into each other.
Yes, pretty much. I'm there too. I was.
Don't worry, folks. I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah. Well, alcoholics are quitters. We're just drunks. So you're going to play some songs for us.
Yep.
Are these all originals?
Yes, all 3 will be originals.
Are they new, old?
I figure I'm going to do one oldish.
Yeah.
It's funny because, obviously they're all new to everybody else, but, Yeah, this one is
And even old,
actually old. to
only
me.
what, 3 years? I
Right,
mean, that's
yeah.
not even really old.
Right.
Yeah,
But one old
yeah.
and
There was air quotes on that, listeners.
and two new.
Excellent. I just thought of an interesting question. What are they called? That's not the interesting question. There's a follow-up that I think is interesting.
Yeah.
I realize now that I said that's the stupidest thing I've said today. I just thought an interesting question. What are your songs called? No, but what are they called?
So one of them, the older song, is called Modest Mountain. And then there is a new one that is called Knock Knock. It's not a joke, though.
Okay. So it's a serious song.
It's a serious song.
Okay.
It's not a joke.
All right.
But it's called Knock Knock, and I wrote it within the last week.
No.
So forgive me if there's any flubs, but then I figure I'll also play a song called Carmel by the Sea, and that is also a new one. But I think I wrote that one probably a month ago.
So the interesting question that I thought of earlier, now in context.
What's my name?
How did your parents name you? No. No, but is it... How do you name your song? Like, is that a process, or is it just like, oh, that's this line that gets repeated most? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's either the line that like gets repeated the most, but you kind of like shorten it or something to make it sound more catchy.
You don't do that, Pearl Jam, elderly woman behind a counter on Saturday afternoon, whatever the hell the name of that song is. It's like
right, I know,
3 sentences long.
I feel like a lot of emo pop punk songs are like that too. Like Fall Out Boy songs are all
like that?
really long names and stuff like that. I don't really have a method.
Yeah.
It is just kind of making the most common theme or line.
Yeah.
Kind of heard the right way that you want somebody to hear it, and
Do you try to convey the overall like tone of the song in the?
I don't think that deeply into it.
Yeah.
I just figure, this is what they're going to hear the most.
Yeah.
Instead of dragging it way out,
right.
let me just shorten it and make it sound a little more catchy to say, so that it rolls off the tongue better.
Right.
But I mean, no, I don't necessarily convey the whole message of the song,
Yeah.
or the feeling of the song.
Not like the song
title.
Lollipop.
Right.
Very clear what that song's
Yes.
about.
Very clear.
All right. So again, they can check you out on Bandcamp, and I want to thank you for coming in. And
thank you.
No problem. And looking forward to hearing what you're going to play.
Yeah, right on. Light breaks through the evergreens and shows a downhill stream that's breaking over stones, with water so clear you could see to the bottom, water so clear you could drink it if you wanna. Oh, mountain, modest mountain, I can't go home. There's life in your caves and life up in your skies. I got friends in the city who think everyone retires. Make money like the tides, it comes and goes. Make money like the tides, it comes and goes. Oh, mountain, modest mountain, I can't go home. You'll never talk about living and dying. You'll never talk about laying the giant down. And you'll never talk about rising and shining. You'll never talk about watching the flowers grow. Oh, mountain, modest mountain, I can't go home. Light breaks through the evergreens and shows a modest man walking down the mountain road. Well, nothing's ever easier inside your mind. No, nothing's ever easier inside your mind. No. Oh, mountain, modest mountain, I can't go home. Oh, mountain, modest mountain, I can't go home. Knock, knock, would you let me in? I can see you peeking through the curtains. Well, knock, knock, would you open your doors? I know I'm not who you were waiting for, but am I right on time? And we joke most of the time, but then you call me when your head's on fire. I say let it burn, sometimes you need to. Then take the ashes to the garden and watch it grow. Yeah, watch it grow. Knock, knock, would you let me in? I can see you peeking through the curtains. Well, knock, knock, would you open your door? I know I'm not who you were waiting for, but am I right on time? Hold you if you let me, and if you need to go, I'll let you go gently. It's not a game, it's no one's fault, and there's no win or lose, there's only what gets lost. So finish your wine, it's time for bed, and brush those teeth before they're permanently red. Knock, knock, would you let me in? I can see you peeking through the curtains. Well, knock, knock, would you open your door? I know I'm not who you were waiting for, but am I right on time? I know a woman on the California coast. Her voice is so sweet and low. Her hair's the same color as the sand on the beach, and her eyes have that ocean glow. Oh, Carmel by the sea, would you please come to me? For I cannot come back to you. I'll be stationed out here for the next couple years, and there ain't a damn thing I can do. Well, the last time I was there, she made me breakfast, waffles with whipped cream and fruit. And the coffee was strong, but not as strong as the feeling you'd get if she smiled at you. Oh, Carmel by the sea, would you please come to me? For I cannot come back to you. I'll be stationed out here for the next couple years, and there ain't a damn thing I can do. Father is a fisherman, mother's an artist. She gets her inspiration from boats, and she sells her paintings downtown at the gallery. I know because I took one home. Oh, Carmel by the sea, would you please come to me? For I cannot come back to you. I'll be stationed out here for the next couple years, and there ain't a damn thing I can do. No, there ain't a damn thing I can do.
Okay, thanks for checking out the podcast. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts on the Inebri-art Podcast Network. There's the Bar Talk. There's Old Colony Cast. There's, of course, the Inebri-art Podcast. And our latest, Retro Redoctopus, a kind of nerd genre podcast that you can check out now, all available on our website at inebri-art.com, and pretty much available everywhere that podcasts are available, on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, all those things. And if you don't see it where you're looking, let us know. We'll try to get onto that as well. And you can also email us at inebri-art@yahoo.com with your questions, complaints, and suggestions. And also, if you could take the time to rate and review us on iTunes, that would be phenomenal. That helps us get more exposure and bring more of these great podcasts to your ears. And thanks again for listening.